Sami Loursin. I work here at Alma Talent. I was giving a speech last time already also. So in the beginning, how many of you were here a year ago? Raise your hand. Sorry, you are hearing the same stuff. Not. Okay, but I'm here today going to talk you some stuff our amazing developers from the have been doing for the last year. Title might say something, but I will continue and tell more. I skip that. You might be. I've been doing 18 years for digital development already. So this is our heritage. So for a long time there has been newspaper, Kauppalehti, for over than 100 years. And actually this year we are celebrating our 20th birthday on the World Wide Web. So we were quite early on that field already. And the last one is our latest mobile site that we renewed on last year. And this is what I'm going to talk you today. Some experiences that we have and some great and not so great stuff. So this was what I talked last time, the renewal of our desktop site, and that was created with AngularJS. There was some great findings there and great things that we learned also about the JavaScript. And after those experiences and renewal of that old the desktop site, we also had at that time the mobile site. But the mobile site was only for the mobile phones. So we created Angular site so it was responsive up to the tablet size. So we had that optimized also for the desktop and tablet, but because it was Angular, there was some issues with the performance with the low-end devices and low connections and these kind of things, and also some issues about the pre-rendered stuff for the Google and Facebook and these kind of things. So we wanted to create a new mobile version for those audiences so that we could have a better mobile pages for the phone users and also for the tablet users. And of course, because we are a media company, we want to get some money out of this. So we had to optimize also the ad delivery and all the other stuff. So we create some of the code, and then there's huge amount of third-party code ongoing also on your browser when you are visiting media sites. So in the beginning, we started creating with the prototypes, and because if you want to go fast, we knew that the only option then is the server side, because it's the fastest that you can go for all of the devices. So when you are rendering stuff on the server side, it's the fastest way to get those for the customers in most of the cases. So we created 4 prototypes within 2 weeks. It was quite fast development, and there was nice competition between some teams creating these or pairs or one developer against 2 developers and these kind of things. So we actually tried 2 server-side technologies and also 1 client-side and 1 isomorphic or universal JavaScript type of thing. And I think the fastest was the Golang version. It was the server-side rendered version, but there was some issues with that because in the end you want to have a nice user interface and usability in your service. So you end up putting some JavaScript on the client side, and then you have then different technology on the back end and different technology on the front end. And we didn't wanted or liked that idea, so we went with the React, which was quite close to Golang version. The performance was pretty sweet also on that. So we started to create our minimum lovable product. So the almost the minimal features, but some extra features that the users and our customers keep us coming back. And this was the end result. That we started it was June. We started June, and then there were also summer holidays, and we released the first version on September. So it was 3 months, and everybody kept their summer holidays. So it was under than 2 months of development time. And the main thing how we were able to do this so fast was that we were building at the top of the same APIs that we had on the Angular side. So we had most of the APIs already there when we started. So because in the Angular desktop side renewal, the biggest part of the development was when we actually changed the server-side technology there. So the actual architecture kept quite same, but in this time we have this only server-side also going on, and this was also new thing for us because our background is from Java, so most of our legacy code is Java code, and we just touched the surface with the JavaScript world with the AngularJS a couple of years ago. So we didn't have that much experience about running the Node.js servers and doing stuff asynchronously. So how we measured how fast we are. So we wanted to be fast, but we wanted to have something how we measured that. And there's huge amount of different services, free services and paid services, how you can test these kind of things. And this is actual, how many of you have used this service? Okay, the rest you should use. If you want to know what is your customer's experience about you against others, this really good visible graph that you can show. So in the top part is the old version of the mobile site. It was giving some result for the customer at 4 seconds. 4 seconds after the customer entered our address, and with the new one it was dropped to 2 seconds. So huge reduction on the time. And also, of course, you compare against some other companies and sites. And then I think this is the most interesting part that you have been waiting for now. So some lessons that we learned, or our team learned, was that when somebody is talking about a universal, it doesn't require to mean that you share the same actual code on the server side and client side. So there's some amount of the code that can be same, but the most part is so that you have the same technology stack there, and you can share things. But don't try to do it so that you also ship the server-side code on the client side, because the client side doesn't need that or require that. It's just extra weight. And also the error handling part is I think team say that this is the most that is completely different on server side and client side, because the APIs and these kind of resources that you are using, it's different how you need to react on server side versus on the client side. And also one tricky part is about the authentication authorization. So when you have some restricted content or content behind the paywall or paid services. The authentication with the cached data on a server or client side is pretty tricky to handle. So one thing that you should start from the beginning is to make all of your APIs and all of the components to do only one thing. If they are trying to handle many things at the same time, then you are in trouble. Then you don't know why this state is this and it's showing things that it shouldn't show for the customer, or the customer should see the actual content, but it's not seeing because the cache says that it's not authenticated yet. So from the Angular, because we came from the Angular side, this React component architecture is really good or really nice, because it showed us that it might be the technology where you can really change or share the code between other projects, also other parts of the system. So if you do those right, so if they are just handling one thing and one thing only, you can share those. But if you are trying to, if your component tries to handle everything in the single, then it's only for that application. And of course, we started with the callbacks. Ari also talked about the resources that you need to fetch. So if you have many resources on your page is combined with various amount of news data or lists or stocks data and these kind of things, the server will need to wait for all of those resources to be ready, and then it can only render the page. And so managing that with the callbacks was really hard. Promises did help some bit of that. After that, it makes some sense. But the most crucial part was that when we changed the API so that the API, actually one API is serving all of the content of that page, then you don't need to worry about if this other API call is ready, can I render these things. So we know from the first request when it was ready, it had all of the content of all of the components that were needed there. One other thing that when you are creating a universal JavaScript, if you want to share the state between the server and client, there's some great issues with that. So we actually, in that case also, if you have ads and third-party libraries and these kind of things. So if you worry about the advertisement or the analytics or the A/B testing tools or whatever external libraries you have, you really don't want to share your state between the server and client. So we went so to say, so that we don't share any state between the requests. So we are actually doing the hard page reloads between the page changes, because it's the easiest way for the ad and analytics parts to figure out that something has changed. Otherwise, we have to tell those libraries that now the content has changed. Please change your internal stuff. And this was really good, really bad thing on the Angular side also, because there we had to handle the state, and 2 years ago all of those other libraries, they weren't ready for that yet. Nowadays most of the libraries are ready, so that they have some event mechanism what you can trigger, but not most of them. So the bad part of that is also, of course, that you actually transfer more of the data over the wire, but it's the we don't see that big issue. After that, there one thing with the React, and when you are creating a quite large application with React, it will become quite hard to visualize what you are doing or understand what the component actually is going to be showing you. So there's really good tool that we found. It is this React Storybook, where you can actually say that this is our mock data for this component, and then we just isolate that one component, and with the hot reload you can actually change the mock data and also change the components code, and you instantly see how it's behaving after these changes. So if you are doing React development and doing a somewhat bigger project, you might want to look on this tool. So there's couple of things. These kind of things are pretty hard to visualize and see how the component is behaving within a huge application. And now you can isolate only that graph component or something like that. Even the unit testing of these kind of things is quite hard. We are not actually doing that for these kind of components because there's not good tool for seeing any visual differences. There's a couple of tools, but we haven't found the great tool for that. And there's a third example. So that was almost it. So how we are performing now. So there's another view of the same tool. You can record a video there that also shows the same thing. You can see how some page loads are going through. So the main focus with the universal JavaScript and React with the setup that we created, we wanted to create it so that the customer will get some version of the page fast, and after that we changed that for the client side, and client then will add something. So this is also called progressive enhancement. So that we really try to serve you fast, show the initial content so that you get the feel that this site is responsive. So we try to have that feeling in the beginning, and after that you can add bells and whistles on the page on the many sites. And this is a really good tool to show your developers and other people on the company how you have managed or how you are standing against your competitors. Yeah, thank you.